the resilient Canadian economy, the average home price increased over $100,000 within the past 5 months alone, and the Bank of Canada's decision yet again to increase the overnight rate by 0.25%. Where's the housing market headed? We'll talk about all this and more in this episode of Ottawa Real Estate Buzz. And as always, please remember to click that bell icon so you'll get all the recent updates and notifications as soon as we make the post, and to like this video and to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So let's get going. To give you an update of Ottawa's housing market, still very active. We see movement regardless of all the rate increases that have impacted the market and the prices within the past months alone. Significant increase in the average price. We're seeing movement in the condos, residential freehold, as well as the rentals, which we'll talk about, which is a significant change we're seeing. And I mentioned in the previous episodes, this is the time of change, and we are fluctuating to get a correction. We have the Bank of Canada's aggressive move, in my opinion, on Wednesday the 7th to bump up the interest rates by 0.25% to 4.75% now with the overnights, which you're looking at about 6.95 for the variable percent now, which is significant for people that 1/3 of mortgages that are sitting on variables. Just the pain to go through that, it's insanity. As well, we saw a upward shift in the fixed rates as well. You were about 4.5%. Now you're looking at 4.775-ish. Which again I believe will drop as a fixed are related to bonds and activity on bonds. So taking a look at the month of May, year over year, number of sales for residential freeholds, we had 1,371 units for 2022 and 1,477 for 2023, and that's an increase of 7.7%. So the inventory is somewhat increasing, and the average sale price we're at 2023 $746,000 approximately, and 2022 it was $802,000. So that's still not there yet. Difference of -7%. And for the condominiums, number of sales for 2022 459 units, 2023 462, and that's almost not a change, 0.7%. And for the condominium average sale price for 2023 443,000 approximately, and 2022 it was 473,000. That's negative 6.4% year over year. Now let's take a look at the residential freeholds, and this is going to get very interesting. The month of May, year over year, for 2023 we had 1,289 active units and 1,010 sold units, and the year before we had 1,146 active units and 968 sold units in 2022. So again, we are seeing the margin between active and sold units shrinking. Okay, taking a look at the residential list versus sold price ratio, and we're almost at asking for May, 99.3%. And remember, the average prices, list prices, are increasing, so this ratio is really narrowing, and it's an actual increase, and we'll see in the next charts what I mean by that. Okay, and year over year in 2022 May, we had 105% to the list price. The residential freehold average sale price per month for the month of May, $807,000, and that's what I meant when I said almost over $100,000 average sale price has gone up. So look at this. In December, we were at $695,000, and now we're at $807,000. Look how fast, despite all the pressures, all the increases in interest rates, we're just moving ahead. And the Bank of Canada needs to realize this. that just poking at this rates, obviously one of the elements is the spending habits on debt relative to the mortgages. That's one side of it, but I mean, you can't continue this. There needs to be other resolutions, and you have to set aside the easy things, in my opinion. Anyhow, year before we had the average at 866,000. It was significantly higher than what we have now, but seeing what's happening, it's very interesting. Looking at the days on the market, we're at 19 days now. So a significant drop from the 41 days since January, and year over year it was 10 days. So we're really getting to where we were in terms of a home sits on the market, the days on the market, and they're selling fairly well, okay, with 19 days. Looking at the condominiums now, very interesting. Number of lists versus sold, 555 active units for the month of May 2023 and 446 sold units. Year over year, the margin was narrower as far as it goes in 2022, 479 active units and 443 sold units. And as I mentioned before, the landing was much softer for the condominiums, and we'll see more of this as we continue. The condominiums list versus sold price ratio, and we're at 98.4%. And we have seen the condominiums, the prices, the average price increase, but slightly. You know, the fluctuation is not as much as the residential freeholds. We see all of a sudden the freeholds drop, but they catch up right back at it again. Whereas the condominiums were much more softer, and perhaps a safer long-term investment. Just because of the gradual movement. But if you're in for a high return, then perhaps the freeholds would be a way to go. Again, no wrong way of investing. It's just a matter of how your risk tolerance is and how you would want to pursue your portfolio in terms of the number of years that you want to be in it as an owner / investor, and so on. Okay, and year over year we had at 102.3% in 2022 May. And looking at the condominiums, average sale price per month, you're at 446,000 for the month of May 2023, and we were at 478,000 a year before. Still lower than the previous year, but gradually climbing up. Okay, the condominiums days on the market, we're at 26 days, so similar relative to the movement, and similar to the freeholds. We're seeing that the condominium market since January, again, we're at 46 days, and now we've dropped to 26 days. So things are changing. Year over year, it was much less, 12 days, but still things are happening. Okay, now the rental market. And I'm seeing so much pressure on the rental market. And when I see this happening, this is a reflection of what's been happening on the housing market as a whole. And it's not good. The average rent amounts are just climbing, and the affordability is a main concern. And the Bank of Canada perhaps should be looking at this, or the governments on municipal, provincial, and the federal level, because this is a concern. And looking at this, look at the number of lists versus rented units, perhaps we should say. We're looking at the inventory. Look at the difference now. For the month of May 2023, 472 active rental units, whereas there was 530 units rented. We're seeing multiple offers happening now on the rental units, which is a bit disturbing in my opinion. And whereas October, November, look at the difference. In 2022, in November 2022, we had 884 active units and 458 rented units. And year over year, again, seasonal pattern, but still we had more inventory last year at 539 units active and 518 rented units. And now giving us a better feel for what's happening. And the average rent per month year over year, we're climbing, And for the month of May 2023, we're at 2,662, and similar to last year. Again, it's climbing up there overall. Obviously, different categories are different. Single homes, newer built single home may take longer to rent, whereas the townhomes, again, depending on location, might go much faster, and the ratio of those townhomes renting compared to single homes, I mean, it's although the price of a single might be double that townhouse, it's still the townhome ratio is a much better return. So you have to be very cautious in terms of where you put your money and how you invest, and what your expectations are from different types of property, especially when we get to investment and rentals, because perhaps it would be best to purchase a home and rent it out as a townhouse rather than a single home, just because of those ratios and the return and then the affordability of the mass. Now, taking a look at the days on the market for a rental unit, 2023 month of May, that's 19 days, and we're down from January, which was 36 days year over year. We're lower now. Look at this pressure that it's putting on is showing us that there's demand, and the homes are renting out much faster. So 19 days versus 22 days year over year. There you have it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to sit down over a cup of coffee with you guys, or over a phone call, text, email away. And just to give you an idea and recap, I think the temporary resolution, the aggressiveness by Bank of Canada is something for a short period of time. I believe there's too much demand in the housing market, and the tweaking of interest rates perhaps will be best for inflation to a certain degree, but the long term of it, looking at the debt level relative to the mortgages, I think the different tiers of government need to participate in taking more action to come up with a solution so that our children and the future children will not be renters, so that they can build capital based on ownership of homes. And it is a vicious cycle overall, but I'm not a big fan of temporary solutions, and it seems like this is the approach that has been taken for the time being, because there is nothing else to do due to many variables and elements at play externally and internally. And that's my take on that, and until next time, take care.